Every civilization reaches a point where uncertainty becomes unbearable. Not because uncertainty is new, but because the pace of life accelerates. The volume of information explodes, and the consequences of being wrong feel catastrophic. At that moment, societies begin searching for something that promises clarity, something neutral, something objective, something that can decide for us. And when they find it, or build it, they don't just use it, they submit to it. This pattern repeats across history with unsettling consistency. We create tools to manage complexity. Then we elevate those tools into authorities. Eventually, we allow them to make decisions we no longer want to carry ourselves. AI is not the beginning of this story. It's the latest chapter. Hi, I'm Rob, and this is A Constantly Racing Mind. If you're new here, we usually break down science fiction, horror, action, adventure, pop culture, and all things geek, always with the idea that every frame tells a story. Today's video goes a step further. This isn't just about a film or a piece of technology, it's about a pattern, one humans have repeated for centuries, and why we keep giving systems the authority to decide for us. Long before algorithms, humans invented gods, not merely as spiritual figures, but as external arbiters of judgment. Deities explained randomness. They justified suffering. They delivered moral certainty in a world that offered none. When something terrible happened, responsibility could be displaced upward. It was fate, divine will, judgment from above. As societies grew more complex, divine authority gradually transformed into legal authority. Law replaced prophecy. Courts replaced oracles. But the psychological function remained the same. Judgment moved away from individuals and into systems. The Enlightenment did not remove this impulse. It refined it. Law became rational. Procedures became formalized. Evidence replaced revelation. But the core trade remained unchanged. Human beings surrendered personal judgment to institutions in exchange for order, predictability, and legitimacy. And for a time, that trade worked. But every system designed to eliminate bias eventually created new forms of it. Every system designed to remove emotion risked removing humanity. And every system designed to be efficient eventually began to see deliberation as a flaw rather than a safeguard. This is where modern technology enters the picture. Not as an anomaly, but as a culmination. Algorithms promise neutrality. Data promises truth. Probability promises fairness. Automation promises speed. And speed in a fearful society becomes indistinguishable from justice. But justice was never meant to be fast. In fact, justice was deliberately designed to be slow. The foundations of modern legal systems were built around a deeply uncomfortable truth. Certainty is dangerous. The presumption of innocence, the burden of proof, the right to counsel, the right to confront the evidence. All of these were intentional inefficiencies. They exist not because they're elegant, but because they're resistance to abuse. Deliberation creates friction. Friction creates opportunity for doubt. Doubt creates space for truth to emerge. Efficiency eliminates all three, and yet efficiency is seductive, because efficiency offers relief from responsibility. When a system decides, no one has to. When an algorithm flags, no one judges. When a percentage crosses a threshold, a human being disappears behind a number. Accountability dissolves into procedure. This is how authority becomes invisible. It's how harm becomes administrative. It's how moral responsibility gets laundered through structure. History is filled with moments where systems committed violence while individuals claimed innocence, not because they were ignorant, because the system allowed them to feel absolved. I followed orders. I applied the law. The process was followed. The data was clear. Atrocities rarely began with malice. They began with confidence. confidence that the system is right, confidence that the inputs are clean, confidence that oversight is unnecessary, confidence that dissent is inefficient. Now, this is why the idea of objectivity becomes so dangerous when combined with authority. Objectivity sounds virtuous, but objectivity without context is not justice, it's abdication. Numbers do not carry moral weight. Probabilities do not understand consequences. Systems cannot feel regret. They cannot recognize missing information. They cannot question the integrity of what they are shown. They cannot doubt themselves. And doubt is the cornerstone of justice. When societies demand certainty, absolute immediate certainty, they begin to see doubt as weakness. Appeals become obstacles. Defense becomes delay. Rights become loopholes. And deliberation becomes inefficiency. At that point, judgment stops being human. And when judgment stops being human, responsibility evaporates. Now, this is not a technological problem, it's a psychological one. Humans do not surrender judgment because machines are better at it. They surrender judgment because judgment is exhausting, because moral responsibility is heavy, because living with uncertainty is uncomfortable, because fear demands resolution, and because systems promise peace. But that peace is an illusion, because systems cannot correct what they cannot see. They cannot challenge what they are not shown. They cannot detect corruption embedded upstream, and they cannot repair injustice that has already been normalized by procedure. Worse still, systems create legitimacy for human wrongdoings. They provide cover. They transform individual malfeasance into institutional outcome. And once injustice is institutionalized, resistance becomes radical. Now, this is the most uncomfortable truth of all. Unjust systems create the very violence they claim to prevent. When lawful paths to justice are closed, people do not become compliant. They become desperate. They become oppositional. They become dangerous. Not because they reject order, but because order rejected them first. History bears this out repeatedly. Oppressive systems don't eliminate chaos. They displace it. They concentrate it. And eventually, they provoke it. This is why stories about artificial intelligence, surveillance, and automated judgment resonate so deeply, not because they are speculative, but because they reflect a pattern we recognize. Kafka understood this long before computers. His bureaucracies were impenetrable, not because they were irrational, but because they were perfectly rational without humanity. The trial is terrifying not because of violence, but because of inevitability. Later stories dress the same fear in futuristic language. Predictive policing, preemptive justice, algorithmic certainty. But the warning remains unchanged. When systems replace judgment, they do not remove error. They make it irreversible. The most dangerous systems are not evil. They're efficient. They do exactly what they are designed to do. And if they are designed to prioritize speed over security, outcomes over process, certainty over doubt, then injustice becomes a feature, not a bug. Now, this is why the distinction between AI as a tool and AI as an authority matters so profoundly. Tools assist judgment. Authorities replace it. When AI generates options, humans remain accountable. When AI renders verdicts, humans disappear from the moral equation. Responsibility shifts upward, outward, and ultimately nowhere. This is the line that cannot be crossed, because the moment judgment is surrendered, freedom follows. Not all at once, not dramatically, but procedurally, quietly, efficiently. Rights erode not through tyranny, but through optimization. And optimization always asks the same question: how fast can this be done? Justice asks a different one: what if we're wrong? That question must never be automated away, because a system that cannot doubt itself should never decide a human life. The danger we face is not artificial intelligence becoming powerful. It is artificial responsibility becoming acceptable. If a system promises certainty, we should ask, what is it taking from us in return? And if it promises safety without accountability, we should be afraid, not of the machine, but of our willingness to let it decide. because history is clear on this point. The moment humans stop judging, something else always judges for them, and it is never merciful. Stories like this aren't really about technology. They're about choice and who we let make it for us. So if you want more long-form breakdowns like this, exploring science fiction, horror, action, adventure, prop culture, and all things geek, subscribe to A Constantly Racing Mind. Share this video. Let's get the word out there. The future isn't scary. It's manageable if we prepare now. I'm Rob. Thanks for being here.